Josh?
I mean, I don't like it. I don't like it, bro. I don't like it. I don't like it. I mean, I know people are not going to believe me when I say this. I promise this is true. Assuming the Chiefs don't win every Super Bowl the rest of Josh's career, which is what I would like to have happen, I hope Josh wins one.
Yeah, of course.
I truly,
And Lamar?
Yeah, I'd like to see all great players get one, but it's less about Josh. It's more about Bills fans. So, like, I don't look at the Ravens as, like, tortured fan base. Okay. They had multiple championships.
Bills fans,
I feel like really deserve one, and so I really do hope at some point the Bills get one, and I don't think this is good news. I don't think asking Joe Brady, who 2.5 years ago, you had he's on your staff, you have an offensive coordinator opening, and he's not your OC, he's your quarterback's coach, and then he gets a battlefield promotion when you fire Ken Dorsey, and now he's not only your head coach, but he's also having to multitask as head coach. I don't think that's the best way forward for the team. And when they said they wanted a CEO type head coach, that's not your young offensive play call and whiz kid guy. It doesn't feel like this has been a coherent process from the firing of McDermott to this. And so it doesn't mean he won't be good at play calling. I think he's been good at play calling, but there's so much more to being an NFL head coach than calling the right offensive plays.
I love it. 16 head coaches started this season calling plays. Like, it's commonplace, including several first-year guys. Ben Johnson, Kellen Moore, Liam Cohen, Shane Steichen did it in Indy, when he was first. Like, half the league, most of the offensive head coaches also call plays. So I don't know why we would think Joe Brady can't do it when all these other guys can do it. Kevin O'Connell, Andy, it just go on and on. Dave Canales, I don't think it's the big deal you're saying. So I like it because I think the offense is going to be fine. The question is the defense. And that if they fall off, it's because they didn't get the right defensive guy. But offensively, they're going to cook.
I agree with Brew. I think it's good for now because we don't know what we don't know. We will come to know how good he is at managing the game. But to your point, all those coaches you mentioned, Kellen Moore, Ben Johnson, they even had a different task, more so difficult, because they were dealing with young guys under center, young quarterbacks. You have Josh Allen. So you call the play, once the play has been called, he has the rest. He can make the adjustments. You trust what he's going to put your team into. And as far as from a schematic standpoint, the best play, you can opt out, whatever the case may be, you trust that he has it from there. And you then can do your due diligence as being a head coach moving forward, X's and O's, how are we going to play moving forward, what are we going to do? So I don't mind it. But until we see how he manages the game, we won't fully know. Now, a lot of coaches, to your point, have handled it just fine. But those coaches you also mentioned have what I mentioned the other day. They have a former head coach on their roster.
I like that.
That is huge.
That's smart.
Like when you are a young head coach and you haven't had the responsibility of that before, it is incumbent upon you to really have somebody who can – really, you can go to their room and say, hey, what would you do? What did you do in this situation? Just to kind of pick their brain and then help you and assist you in areas where you might be deficient, not that you can't grow in those areas.
Sure. So here, I understand all that, and I get your point that it is not rare. I guess my theoretical counterpoint would be, yeah, it's not rare. And it's also one of the reasons that every year a quarter and this year a third of the league is turning over head coaches. You know what I mean? Is that a lot of teams are trying this, and a lot of teams a couple years in or 3 years in, it's like that didn't work and we're churning coaches.
Yeah, but that really doesn't make any sense because McVay, Shanahan, Ben Johnson, like all of these guys, They all have to get that shot. A lot of these coaches that are getting fired have had marginal success. They then get hired to go to a completely different franchise, often with questionable quarterbacks, bad quarterbacks, no quarterback. Like, it's very specific situations. That's not what's happening here. Brady has already proven to work with Josh Allen. They're not hiring a coordinator who then had some success with, I don't know, insert any quarterback here, Kirk Cousins. And they were like, hey, you did a pretty good job with Kirk Cousins. We want you to be the head coach of, we didn't draft that quarterback yet, but we're going to draft him, by golly, we are. That's not the situation here. And so it's different. Comparing the two of them really doesn't make a lot of sense, quite frankly. And then established coaches who got fired. Drama like it doesn't always work. Pete Carroll was an established coach. He got hired and he got fired. So I disagree with that logic of, now Brady's going to be maybe like overwhelmed by all the things he do. And this is where it would be awesome for the Bills to get a defensive coordinator who was like a head coach, right? That's where you then can, if you get someone who is a true seasoned veteran coach like a Spags, Fangio, etc., that can go a long way, because then Brady really can just be like, you got all of the defense, right? Like it's been the biggest gift that the Eagles got, that the Chiefs got, that Shanahan had with Robert Saleh. Like that's a massive advantage that could really be the difference between this really truly working and not. So I've warmed up to this move tremendously. I really have. The more I've thought about it. Because Nick is out here saying, oh, like this doesn't work for so many cases. Then who are you hiring that you're confident is going to work? I'm confused. Mike McDaniel, Cliff Kingsbury, Clint Kubiak, you're following the same trends and issue potentially. And if you let a Joe Brady out the door, you're in this situation where you're like, the Ravens left. Let Mike McDonald leave. The Bucks let Liam Cohen leave. The Eagles let Shane Steichen leave. When you have an offensive mind that clearly snorts is working and doing some pretty great things, you maybe don't want to automatically let that guy leap in hopes of finding someone better. And now with Brady having more control over the team, he could have even more control over the offense, just in terms of what they decide to work on practice, how long they like, whatever it may be. I've been on teams where you have multiple coaches, and I've worked way closer to the other coaches than the main head coach. But make no mistake about it, the head coach is the head coach. He runs the show. He is the alpha. He is the guy, even though I'm spending way more time with the other coaching staff, the head coach is the head coach. When he talks, you shut up, you listen. Like it's just different. And so even though Brady has been there with the Buffalo Bills for all this time, it doesn't mean that it still won't be different and better and improve. So I've become a lot more optimistic about this, especially when you have a true established quarterback like Josh Allen. This isn't like a Caleb Williams situation where you're like, well, we need Caleb to really be developed and this, that. And it's like, well, like, what do you do here? Like, this is a different situation now. And I do think the offense I still think the offense is still too Josh Allen centric. And I do think that there's still too many reliance on the Superman moments. And although the play has been good, I think situationally it could be a lot better. And I would love to see Josh Allen with a true bona fide coach who I know really simplifies and makes everything easier. Like, I keep elevating Shanahan and showing you those clips of what he offers a quarterback in a way that it's unclear to me whether a Brady does that. Again, McVay, Shanahan, Liam Cohen, those are really like my main core younger coaches that I'm just like, and Ben Johnson, where you're just like, man, these guys are just really on another level and they just make things so easy for their quarterback. And I would just love to see Josh Allen in that situation. And it's unclear to me that Brady will do that. And, if Brady now has more say over the roster, like it'll just, because also now it's also roster construction and whatnot, like all that matters tremendously. But another thing about the offense, I just want to show this, and some of this doesn't prove the situational aspect of it, and I'm going to put this in a different video, but this seems like a decent time because I made this graphic a little bit ago, and I haven't gotten the opportunity to make the Josh Allen video that I plan on making about playoff successes and failures. So I figure, you know, I'll still just show this here, and then I can still show it in a follow-up video. But this has been the offense for in Josh Allen's 4 playoff losses. Okay, 3 to 320 total yards per game, 67% completion percentage, 79% adjusted completion percentage, 12 to 2 touchdown to interception ratio, 3 total touchdowns per game, a passer rating of 104.2 and 61.1 rushing yards per game. That is insane. That's in his 4 playoff losses, okay? You know, 21, 21, 23, 24, and 25. You know, the main ones. No snowstorm, no nothing, no nonsense. Like, this was against the Chiefs, and then the Broncos is what I think it comes out to be. 320 total yards per game, 67%. I mean, like, these stats are bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. And when you compare Mahomes' playoff losses to Josh Allen's losses, I mean, look at the stark contrast. I mean, it's insane. And again, you'll say, well, a bunch of those were Super Bowl losses. And it's just like 3 of the losses were to the Kansas City Chiefs. So like those are those, you're playing a great team clearly. So don't tell me that it has anything to do with, you know, a Super Bowl or not. And so 320 total yards to Patrick Mahomes is 269. Completion percentage 67% to Patrick Mahomes is 56%. Adjusted completion percentage 79 to 68. Josh Allen's completion percentage is almost that of Patrick Mahomes' adjusted completion percentage, factoring in drops and factoring in throwaways and whatnot. Touchdown interception ratio 12-2, like I said. And for Patrick Mahomes, 6 touchdowns, 6 interceptions in his 4 losses. I mean, it's just crazy. Total touchdowns per game, 3 for Allen, 1.5 for Patrick Mahomes. Passer rating 104.2 to Patrick Mahomes is 78.35. Rushing yards per game, 61.1 to 22. So getting the production out of Josh Allen is not inherently the problem, right? It is defensive stops and some situational play calling or situational moments from the roster around you that you could maybe make the argument that with a Joe Brady as the head coach, they're in a better position to execute at a higher level because they will prioritize these things, you know, in preparation practices, you know, whatever. But it really is so fascinating because if we look at Mahomes' biggest wins, which is 7 games to Josh Allen's 4 losses, and the biggest wins that I picked, Super Bowl wins, beating the Bengals AFC Championship game, beating the Bills 13-second game. Like, I didn't cook the books here. Like, these are truly Patrick Mahomes' biggest games, his biggest wins, the wins that we prioritize and elevate to the highest degree that we can. I didn't pick like random games that he won, but he played terrible in or a random game that, like, you know, it was against, you know, in the playoffs against clearly a bad team in the playoffs that they just like snuck in and like, but he beat him. And like, so what, like, these are truly the iconic wins. Again, a bunch of them are against the literal Buffalo Bills, right? Like against the Bills, against Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, like these against in the Eagles, Super Bowls, like all this type of, and look at it. I mean, and some of these total touchdowns, obviously 12, but it was only 4 games for Josh Allen, 7 for Patrick Mahomes. And so on a touchdown per game, Josh Allen is scoring more touchdowns per game in his losses than Patrick Mahomes is in his wins. And these are not misleading stats because it's not like Josh Allen's getting blown out in these games. So you're like, well, of course he's got a lot of touchdowns because of all the garbage time. Like, that's not the case. Total yards per game, 320 to 322. Passer, which is obviously just, you know, essentially equal. Passer rating 104.2 to 107.1, which again, for all intents and purposes, is equal. And the rushing yards per game, 61.1 to 38, which is not necessarily equal. So it's stark. It's stark. Josh Allen is playing better in his playoff losses than Patrick Mahomes is in the biggest wins. And so much of that is coaching, is preparation, is the players stepping up on the Chiefs and not for the Buffalo Bills. The defense rising to the occasion for the Chiefs and the defense not rising to the occasion. Andy Reid dialing up that perfect play 3 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and the Buffalo Bills not dialing up that perfect play. And again, Patrick Mahomes executing. These are obviously not bad numbers by any, it's not like I'm saying, oh, he has all these wins and look, his numbers are garbage. It's not the case. Patrick Mahomes is obviously performing. Patrick Mahomes is great. Patrick Mahomes is a huge reason why some of his biggest wins, he's a contributor to it. He is not being carried by the Chiefs, but he is being supported in a way that clearly Josh Allen is not. And so you could make the argument that getting a better offensive coordinator or an offensive coach, I should say, they don't necessarily automatically solve that problem. But at the same time, neither does automatically solving the defense either. It obviously puts you in a better situation and maybe you need to do less, etc. But you still need to have the right game plan. You still need to have the right plan of attack in the most meaningful moments. And just look no further. And again, we can talk about all the turnovers with Josh Allen against the Broncos. Like, none of that matters. Because when it came to on that overtime drive, it's like you dial up a play to throw to this receiver on like third, and like there was no other way to convert that. There was no other play to make. It's like I struggle with that play call, and I'm just 100% confident that Andy Reid in that situation finds a way to get Patrick Mahomes either in space to be able to just run and pick it up with his legs, either is able to hit Travis Kelce in a way where you're just like, how is Kelce so an MVS over Shea? And you're just like, how is he so open? Which we even just saw with Sean McVay, the Los Angeles Rams, like Puka, and I gotta have it like 3rd and 7 moment against the Chicago Bears. You dial up a play where you're like, yep, Puka got the ball wide open, was able to fall forward and get that first down and more, right? Like you had it. They found a way to be able to get the ball to Devontae Adams to make unbelievable catch, where instead that drive, 2 of the throws are to 2 receivers that you had a total of 12 targets combined over the entire season. It's just bad football. And so that is something that you're like, Joe Brady, do better at. But at the same time, you can look at the playoff loss in 24 and be like, hey, he dialed up a great screen pass to Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper messed up. And if he doesn't, he probably scores a touchdown on that final drive for the Bills, or at the very least gets, a huge gain, and now you're automatically in field goal range. Then we can say, wow, Brady, that was a perfect play you dialed up, right? So, and you can't always dial up the most perfect play. It's not like Andy Reid dials up the perfect play every single moment, but he does it a lot. And again, it's a hard comp because it's literally Andy Reid. So, of course, but when you really look at these stats, it's pretty stark. It's pretty wild. And I do wonder that if you have an offensive head coach now with Brady, you're able to get some of this and maybe even more, because there will be he'll be able to be empowered in a way where he can prioritize execution in the most meaningful moments. Hold Josh accountable in a way that McDermott was unable to do. And you could then maybe get not only a better version of Josh Allen, but ultimately a better version out of the Buffalo Bills. But you still also have to really go all in and knock out the whole defense out of the park, right? Because the defense has been really a big problem over these years. Really a big problem. And again, look no further than what the Chiefs have done to the Ravens that you did not do. Look what the Ravens did to the Chiefs. And again, defensively, I'm saying in a way that you did not do again during the same playoff runs, what the Eagles did to the Chiefs, in a way that you did not do, right? Like that if your defense just was even 3/4 of what they did to each other, it's like it'd be almost like a walk in the park for you to win those games. And they did not. The Denver Broncos seemingly had the best game of their entire season against you. Bo Nix played the greatest game he's ever played against you, and it's just sometimes you have to shake the hand of the other team, and sometimes you have to look in the mirror and say, we did that. So I find the move a lot more optimistic and a lot more interesting than I had initially. So yeah, I'm sure by showing those stats, I triggered lots of Josh Allen haters, and also the Mahomes fanboys. But the reality is that those stats really tell a great story and a great picture. And even if you want to then point out some of the moments that you're like, well, Josh Allen missed this threat, like, you know, in 23, and it's like, Chris Jones was in his lap because Spags and Spags and that defense know how to dial up the exact thing that you need to do in any given moment that directly leads to a win, right? In a way that Sean McDermott has consistently failed to do. And yeah, it'll be interesting. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills? Do you think it's good news, bad news, the whole Joe Brady hire him calling plays as well? You know, they talked about like, oh, they wanted a CEO co. Who is that right now? Seriously, who is that right now? And then now you need to hire a great offensive coordinator and a great defensive coordinator. Like, who is who? Who do you have where you could do that? Well, who are you doing that? And even if you hire a great CEO coach like a Harbaugh, you still needed to fire his offensive coordinator. He needed to then hire Mike McDaniel. Like you're still now, he just lost Jesse Emder. Now he's got to hire a new defensive, you know, like that's got its own issue. So even that logic didn't really make any sense to me. But let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment. So you agree with me or disagree with me? Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. Please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.